In 1925, the Chicago police arrested singer Gertrude Maud Rainey in her home for hosting a so-called lesbian party. While Rainey had been married to a man for 21 years, she was known to take female lovers. It was even rumored that she was romantically involved with another famous blueswoman, Bessie Smith, who bailed Rainey out the next day. Getting her start on the Volveta circuit in the early 1900s, Ma Rainey made her career as a blues performer just as the genre's popularity hit its stride in the 1920s. By the 1925, she was 2 years into a lucrative recording contract with Paramount Records, had worked with Louis Armstrong, and was in the middle of what would become a 4 year musical partnership with Thomas Dorsey's Wildcats Jazz Band. Ma Rainey had earned herself the title of Mother of Blues, and she had no intention on giving it up. 3 years later, she would respond to the gossip about her sexuality sparked by her arrest with her song Prove It On Me Blues, which, quote, went out last night with a crowd of my friends. They must have been women, 'cause I don't likes no men. Some have called the lesbianism and bisexuality among black female blues musicians as the quote-unquote open secret of the Harlem Renaissance. While some blues singers like Alberta Hunter and Ethel Waters were careful to bury rumors that they too might be quote unquote in the life, many more like Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith, Glades Bentley, Clara Smith, and Lucy Bogan did little to conceal their relationship with women. Lucy Bogan even released a song in 1935 entitled The DB Women's Blues, in which quote unquote BD stood for bulldagger, a slang term for butch lesbians, referring affectionately to these lesbian women's. Borgen sings, they got a head like a sweet angel, and they walk like a natural man. Perhaps the greatest secret was the blues club scene itself. In the early 1900s, saw a massive migration of black Americans from the South to cities like North Chicago and New York City. The Harlem neighborhood of Manhattan in New York proved a particularly popular destination for many migrants who helped contribute to a flourishing art, academic, and even entertainment scene that would later become known as the Harlem Renaissance. Amid this atmosphere of artistic and intellectual expressions, gay and lesbian African Americans found a spirit of social freedom and acceptance that allowed them to pursue same-sex relations with greater openness than many other parts of the country. And it was in the underground blues clubs of the 1920s and 30s where the sexual expression could thrive most freely. In seedy Harlem blues clubs, blues women like Gladys Bentley, who became famous for her masculine performances, complete with cropped hair, tuxedo, and a top hat, found their audience in stage personas. For black women, who made up the majority of the popular blues singer at the time, these clubs offered an outlet to explore sexualities and sexual desires on stage in a way that would have been denied to them in their day-to-day lives. Blues clubs spread far beyond just New York, and while blues women like Rainey and Smith tend to associate with the Harlem Renaissance, many of these women had stronger ties to the South, Midwest, and California. Artists like Bentley toured blues clubs around the country, including San Francisco's famous Mona's 4400 or 440 Club, a bar which marketed itself toward lesbians as the place where girls will be boys. Some have suggested that it is important not to overstate the prevalence of these declarations of same-sex desires in the music and performances of female blues musicians. Lesbian-themed songs make up a small fraction of these singers' bodies of work, the majority of which focuses instead on romance with men. Yet it's still important to acknowledge that the significance of the blues clubs as a space where black women in the early 20th century were able to express their sexual and romantic desires without fearing for their safety, using masculine clothing, provocative performance, and homoerotic lyrics. These blues women found unique ways to represent their sexuality on stage. More than that, black women blues performers were able to control how their sexuality was represented in their lyrics and performances and decide for themselves who they wanted to be on and off stage. At the end of Prove It On Me Blues, Ma Rainey sings, talk to the gals just like any old man, 'cause they say I do it, ain't nobody caught me, sure got to prove it on me. In these lines, Rainey coyly seems to say, my sexuality is mine alone, and I am free to live how I please. And perhaps this is one of the most important things to remember when we talk about the lives and the romances of these blues women. For women like Ma Rainey, the blues was a world where she could take control of her own story, where you could explore your sexuality and talk about it on your own terms, where you could decide who you wanted to be and then become that person on stage each and every night. So these blues clubs really were prevalent in helping the African American LGBT community explore themselves and have a place that it was uniquely theirs and a place where they were able to just feel free and kind of cut loose. And so that is another reason why the blues culture was so prevalent, and many African American people really appreciate the blues. Not only did it sing about their everyday hardships, but in cases like Bessie and Rainey, it was a place where they could sing about the hardships of not being able to be the women that they wanted to be, let alone be with the women that they wanted to be. And so you have these prominent black entertainers who were up on stage unapologetically saying, yeah, I'm a lesbian, so what? Enjoy it. I'm just like you. I enjoy a woman, and I enjoy the finer things in life. And so that's what, catapulted her to her stardom, was the fact that she was very unapologetic about these things, and was just like, yeah, so what? And, in most cultures, especially in the LGBT culture, and, specifically in African American cultures, you don't talk about your sexuality, just like you don't talk about your mental health issues or whatever. It was always kind of hush hush. So oh, that's just Uncle Elroy and his friend, whatever. And no, Uncle Elroy, the whole damn family knew that Uncle Elroy liked men, but it was impolite and improper to put it out that Uncle Elroy was actually, dating his roommate, and that there was a lot more going on there. So to have these hot spots of entertainment and being infused with a cultural movement like the blues really was just amazing for the time. And so this kind of concludes this portion of my video taking a look at Ma Rainey. If you have any questions, about her and her lifestyle. There is a movie that has been made about her called Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, I believe it is, and it has Beulah Davis in it, or Viola Davis. I'm sorry, not Beulah. Viola Davis in it, and really just kind of shows the history and some of the hardships, and of course it's Hollywoodized, but from what I gather, I haven't seen the movie yet myself. It's actually on my LGBTQ watch list. But I am going to be watching it, so I really hope that you go and you take a look at it. Again, it's called Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Black Bottom, and just it looks and sounds like a really good movie. So if you have any further questions, comments, concerns, please put them in the comment section down below. If you need to get a hold of me, you can shoot me an email, hellocupcakeitsme @gmail.com. Head on over to the podcast also. That's anchor.fm/hellocupcakeitsme, and go check out the blog, hellocupcakeitsme.com. And until next time, I will talk to you all later. Bye, guys.